Do whatever the Hyundai you want.
Hey, I'm Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
G'day, I'm Marcus Ambrose.
Hey, this is Kenny Rose, and you're listening to
The Fuel Pod.
This podcast covers all things motorsports. It's unfiltered, it's unmasked, and
Ooh, we're going crazy.
What's up, Jay?
Good evening, and welcome to the Fuel Pod Evening News.
Welcome to the Fuel Pod Evening News, your source for all your motorsports news that you need for the week of whatever week this is. It feels like I've been trapped in an eternity of ice and snow.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the movie Frozen.
Yeah, or Ice Age.
Or Ice Age.
For those of us who haven't seen Frozen.
This is like that week. I was telling Jenny Lee earlier. This is like that week between Christmas and New Year's Day, where you don't really know what day it is. You're just kind of like lounging around the house. I mean, today I was like, is it the weekend? Do I have work tomorrow? I don't know what's going on, honestly.
Yeah, I've just been bored, honestly. I mean, I don't like being iced in. You get cabin fever. It's just not a fun place to be. You know, plus we have literally very little racing going on. So, it's one of those things which brings up the title of the episode. And I know you cracked on me because this is our second version of break stuff. But the first one was because it was the last race of the season. I knew we didn't have any races left, and I just wanted to break stuff. And now it's because it's been so long without any. And let's be clear, it's Formula One racing, but we've been so long without it. I just want to throw stuff around the house until it starts back up. It's driving me nuts.
Well, I was going to say, at least you said very little racing, because up until this weekend, it's been no racing. So it is kind of nice to have very little racing.
Yeah, it's true.
Even though I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
A little is better than none.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight, man. We've got, since we didn't get to go last week, we've got I know we're going to be late on it, but the Rally Monte Carlo results, and I do want to hit on some of that because there's some important information there.
Okay.
We got a lot of decent F1 news that should be fun to get through and argumentative at best. But the 24 hours at Daytona, the Rolex 24 hours at Daytona was this past weekend, which we had a couple of unbelievable streaks that have still gone on and some crazy frontline racing. And then our first podiums and backmarkers of 2023. So a little excited about that as well.
Yeah, we have some new news on the podiums and backmarkers, but we'll get to it when we get there.
Sure.
So now that you brought us what we're going to get, let's get right into World Rally Championship Rally Monte Carlo.
Okay, so
this is right on the other side of the hill from Monaco, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically it would be a mountain, I guess. I always say the other side of the hill. I mean, that's way inaccurate, but and it's obviously in Monaco. I mean, they still stay in the hotels and apartments and wherever they stay. But over the mountain, they do the rally. It's their big one every year, and they're one of the few race series that their big one is the first race of the season. Which they share that with NASCAR. Actually,
is that not a weird thing? Am I the only one that thinks it's weird that you have your Super Bowl first?
Yeah. I thought that was weird about NASCAR. I mean, the Daytona 500 obviously is huge. It's probably one of the top 5 races in the world for popularity wise. I mean, even non-race fans know what the Daytona 500 is, right? So
absolutely.
The Rally Monte Carlo is also huge. It's also one of the most difficult ones they do for the whole year. So it's kind of weird on two fronts.
It's just weird. That's the very first thing.
Yeah.
It just
Man,
it seems odd to me.
I bet if F1 had to do Monaco on the first race of the year, I mean, I bet it would be a complete crap show. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They wouldn't know what to do. I mean, it feels like they'd just be lost for the rest of the year based on those results, having to run Monaco right up front, especially this year because there's a bunch of new drivers.
Yeah, it's just weird that you have that first. And actually, remember this. We're talking about having the biggest thing in motorsports being the first race.
Yeah.
Because on our new topic we have, or our new segment we have called a NASCAR Minute, I've got something on there Denny Hamlin was talking about and the Daytona 500 today.
Okay, I'll remind you.
I saw
Anyway.
that. I guess Denny is going to have a new podcast under the Dirty Mo Motorsports banner, and he was on there. I just watched a little blurb on it today. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I've got a little news there.
Okay. So anyway, the results for Rally Monte Carlo, the old man, Seb Ogier, won his 9th Monte Carlo rally.
So we talked about this the last one, right?
Yeah.
And he had won the first stage, and you were pretty excited about that because he is kind of, like you said, the old guy. And so to set that, I mean, that's who you were hoping was going to win, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping he'd pull it out because he's a vet, and I think everybody expected Rovanpera to get the win because he's coming off of a strong championship winning season. But again, when you've been racing as long as rallying as long as Seb Ogier has, and already has 8 wins at the place, it's kind of hard to argue with the experience.
Yeah. I mean, 9 wins at Monte Carlo is kind of a big deal. I mean, like you said, it's their hardest race. It's their biggest races. That's having 9 Daytona 500s.
That's true. I mean, it's
or 9
crazy.
or 9 wins at the Monaco GP. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And I think the only other person close to him is the other Seb, Loeb, who wasn't there probably because he had just finished Dakar. So if I had to guess,
he's probably exhausted.
Yeah, he's probably worn out, but he has 8. I think they were tied for 8 at the time. So, it's one of those things where he wasn't there, but Ogier was there, and Rovanpera had a pretty bad first day rather, because he had the spin out in a hairpin. I mean, he recovered nicely, but it cost him 40 seconds. So, it's one of those things where he just wasn't able to pull through and get the win this time. And I was happy to see Ogier win.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he'll run a part-time schedule this year anyway.
I mean, it's cool if you're only running a part-time schedule and you get a W. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Terry Neuville came in 3rd.
Yep.
And before I'd say Friday afternoon, I would have thought Elvin Evans, and of course, I'm rooting for him, but he should have came in 3rd. But I mean, he had dropped to 5th anyway because he also had a car issue and ended up having to fix it, and he lost a couple minutes. And then Oyt Tanek came in 5th, and I want to hit on this later. But, I mean, to be fair, he wasn't this is his first time back in Ford in a long time. He's been in Hyundai for quite a while. So, coming in 5th, I think, is respectable.
So, Ogier, and so I again, not a huge rally championship fan, but I'm learning. Ogier and Rovanpera, same team, right? Because that's the Toyota Gazoo, right?
Yeah, it's Toyota Gazoo. They're a works team.
Okay, because I put them on my podium because they were talking about like they started 1-2, basically dream scenario start to the season, and 4 of their drivers are in the top 6. So, for their teams, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question here, and I just thought of this, and God, I hope it's not a sniper question, but you're going to know the answer to this. I have a feeling. Only 2 teams can get points, right?
That's right.
So of those 4, do you know which teams they got for points?
Well, I mean, it had to be Rovanpera and Ogier. I don't know how you'd go with any of the other guys. None of the other teams are that proven.
Okay,
I mean,
I didn't know.
You'd have to be asleep at the wheel as chief principal not to pick those 2.
I mean, since their teams finished 4 of the top 6 spots were Toyota Gazoo, I thought, well, I mean, there's a chance they could have not. So those other 2 teams just won't count towards their championship points. They're constructors points.
Correct.
Constructors points. Okay. I just want to make sure I had that right.
Yeah, and they don't even do. I mean, everybody gets their points as far as drivers, so they don't have to worry about setting aside for that. Everybody is.
This is constructors only.
Yeah, constructor only.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then Terry Neuville was in the Hyundai. So, and Evans, Yeah, so that's the other Toyota, which it wouldn't have counted. So he was just trying for driver's points. But that's all I really had for that. I mean, it was a really good rally. It's one of the weird ones where you can't really plan for tires on a couple of the stages. So anyway, that was that.
Do you know which one's up next? Is it Sweden?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I can pull it up, and I think it's Sweden, but it might be.
Well,
I think they moved it around this year.
I just saw a blurb where they were saying that some of the drivers were really hoping to have a very iced out Sweden. So I just assumed it was next.
Well, yeah, man, they're all little. They're just like us. They're little kids that you get to Sweden and so that soft snowbank, and you're just drifting. There's probably a very Zen quality of rallying in Sweden. Probably. I would imagine.
I just thought that was a cool. I mean, because it does sound like something you'd hear in southeastern Oklahoma. I mean, and especially this week. I just hope it gets iced over. I want to go up there and do some donuts and stuff.
Right.
Cool. All right, man. So we are moving into F1. Is that correct?
Yeah. Since we don't have any F1 racing, we might as well do F1 news.
News out of the paddock.
Yeah. So this is kind of a clickbait first entry, the Germany out of F1. So apparently, Sky Sports has the contract to run the broadcasts for F1. And they have local affiliates, I guess, that handle it country specific, but Germany lost theirs. So I think they're only going to get like 4 races this year instead of 8, which is what they had last year. So they're up in arms right now with FIA and F1 trying to secure, more broadcasting rights.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a huge news story, but
yeah,
to hear that a whole country might be out for getting to watch F1 on TV. I mean, we take it for granted, man. We've got 2 options to watch it. We've got ESPN and we've got F1 TV, which is basically the Sky Sports broadcast. But,
so they just have a whole country it out for the entire country.
Yeah. Which is crazy because F1 is huge in Germany next to, football.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I'm sure it's right there.
Yeah. Sure.
And that is odd that it would be blacked out. When I saw that, I thought, well, I mean, what races in Germany is kind of what I was thinking, or what's going on there that they would take out a track. But
we haven't
had cross my mind.
We haven't had a Hockenheimring or Nürburgring in
a while,
in a few years, probably since 18 or 19, I would guess. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've had a German GP, but you've got enough that are close, by the way. So Red Bull Ring is close.
Yeah.
The Austrian Grand Prix, and then also Spa is not very far away.
It's just really odd. You're going to have, so many, the European fan base to be so large to black out an entire country just seems crazy to me.
Think about it this way too. Germany is right in the middle.
Yeah.
So many, they're surrounded by F1 races, really. I mean, you basically can just go around the border of Germany and probably find 8 or 9 tracks. So, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Anyway, the next story was yours, man. So talk to me on this.
I just put this on here real quick. I just read it. I saw a mock-up and I really just wanted to ask you about it. If you had heard anything, it just said rumors of the Gulf oil company, I guess.
Yeah.
A sponsorship
which was with McLaren.
And
because of Danny Ricciardo.
The car came out and looked very Richard Petty-ish. It's not the real car, and I don't have the logo, anything up here. It's not the real car. It's just a mock-up. But I just saw that on there, and they were talking about how the rumors of the Gulf sponsorship, and it was a big deal to be at Williams. Why is that such a big deal? Just because they would be leaving McLaren?
Well, I mean, just that they're on a car. But I tell you what, man, just sitting here ballparking it, I'd have to say Logan Sargent has a lot to do with that.
It's a Gulf from America.
Yeah. So he probably, they probably, they lost the Danny Rick piece and they want to be on the car. It gives Williams a decent sponsor that people know. Because if you look at the Williams car, out of 10 sponsors, I dare you to pick one. I dare you to pick one that you know.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, it's not like, Wish.com is on the side of that car, even though
what's the other one was going to be on there? OnlyFans, maybe?
Since they can't find any other sponsors. Yeah. So anyway, it'd be cool to see Gulf on that car. I doubt they would go with their typical. That's the downside, because the typical Gulf livery, if you're going back to the 60s and going back to old Steve McQueen racing movies, it's always been the orange and blue.
That's what it was. It was orange and blue. It almost looked like Petty orange and blue.
Wow, that's insane.
It wasn't. It wasn't that powder
McLaren's
blue.
McLaren's orange and blue. I mean, not golf orange and blue, but they are orange and blue.
I'm looking for the mock-up. I mean, again,
Okay.
it's not real. It's not true. I mean, we don't know yet. But it just kind of looked neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. Keep going while I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'm efforting. This is really good podcasting here. I'm efforting.
So the weird thing is, I saw this news story, much like you probably saw that one, but I actually clicked on this one and decided to read it and get into it because I thought it was weird. It sounded weird. Nick DeVries being sued and possibly out of his AlphaTauri seat.
Wait,
Now,
what?
Yeah. So anyway, I think a lot of that's hype show because after reading the article, I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. So I think again, some of it was probably clickbait, but he is being sued. And I don't know the guy's name. So apparently, when you don't have a rich daddy like Nikita Mazepin did, and you're coming up through the ranks of Formula 3 and Formula 2, a lot of these guys who knew take out gigantic loans.
Okay.
From private investors or banks or whatever. Anyway, Nick DeVries borrowed $250K to get him through Formula 3, Formula 2 to this one guy. And I don't know, he owns a company. He's a business owner, not a bank. But he gets a $250K, but the conditions of the deal were that if he made it to F1 by the year 2022, that he would only have to pay back the $250. But if he didn't make it till after 2022, then he had to pay back the $250 plus 50% of all of his winnings going forward. First off, Nick, buddy, I like you, but man, who signs that contract, right? You don't sign that contract. Anyway, his argument is, I did make it to F1 in 2022 because the wording said debut in F1 before 2022. And he only did one race. But not only did he score points, he was in the whole race. So everybody thinks FIA will throw this out or the courts will throw this out and dismiss it. But here's the other thing. Nick had already paid back 190 of the $250K. And he reached out to the guy and he said, you know what? I only owe you what?
Yes, 60,000,
yeah,
70,000.
He said, I only owe you this amount of money, but I'll give you another $250K. Just dismiss it. And the guy was like, nope, I want 50% of your winnings.
What a greedy dude.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of a stink for Nick DeVries to be in right at the beginning of the season, but I think it'll pan out.
So I'm gonna back up a little bit to the golf thing real quick, if that's okay. I just looked at Formula One News .co. And it says there's growing belief that Williams accidentally leaked a new partnership with Gulf Oil. So basically, they put up a partners ad page and then realized they haven't announced it yet and deleted it quickly. But people noticed it. So it looks like it is happening. I can't find the car, but it does look like Gulf Oil is going to be moving to Williams in 2023. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, it'll be interesting. Golf's one of those sponsors you want to see on the car, on a car.
It is the main sponsor of the car. Like it's back on the engine, whatever that's called back there behind them. And it is, it was a legit looking, if it's true and the mock-up that I saw is real, then it will be one of the better looking cars on the grid, I think. Let's see. So, Nick DeVries, Red Bull. This next one's yours. I'm going to let you read it because it sounds too nonsensical for me to read it.
Okay. Red Bull and, wait for it, Ford.
How is that going to work?
So we have to go back, Chad. How far do we have to go back, Chad? We have to go way back, Chad.
Well, what I used to say? Let me tell you a story. Let me set the scene for you.
let me set the scene for you. The year is 2000. And the company Jaguar was still in F1. What few people knew was that their motors were made by Ford. So,
well, I'm learning something today.
Yeah. So the standard layperson probably didn't realize that Jaguar motors were made by Ford, but they were.
First off, this is Oklahoma. It's Jaguar.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Jaguar had Ford from 2000 to 2004 when they left F1.
Okay.
In the lingering time between there, Red Bull bought Jaguar.
Red Bull bought Jaguar. Okay. Jaguar.
So now, fast forward to today, Red Bull has their own powertrains division. So another piece of the stink that people don't know of is they're done with Honda.
Yeah.
They're happy that they have Honda for this year because they won't have to do any, super crazy work to get things done. But Christian Horner's piece of it is that whoever develops our power unit, they have to do it in-house here at Red Bull. You can't do it at wherever you are.
Okay.
So that's part of the deal. Helmut Marko's doing the whole, we just want to, nail somebody down so that we have them going forward, moving towards 2026 when the next rule change is. And, obviously they've looked at Porsche / Audi / Volkswagen since it's all the same thing. But there has been some stink that possibly Ford might be in the mix as well. And I think a lot of this is coming from, who's the guy that runs Ford's motorsport division?
Oh, geez.
I'll get his name. It's like Rick Ruxberg or Ruxford or something. Anyway, he does all their other things, and he's interested in getting in. You know why he wants to get into F1? Because GM is now looking to get into F1.
Oh my gosh, we are
because becoming
Americanized very quick. Oh, Cadillac with
Cadillac is GM, but they'll probably be Cadillac with Chevy Motors. So now the Ford guys are like, oh crap.
Now we're about to get left out.
Yes. And of course, Horner's coming at this guy saying, hey, that's fine as long as you develop it here in Milton Keynes in our powertrain division.
So they want it built there.
Yes.
On site.
They want everything
built on
in
site.
one. And dude, here's the thing. As much as I jump on Horner sometimes, which most of it has to do with him marrying my favorite Spice Girl, but the other piece is he's right, man. Why? I do not like decentralization. If you can have everything in a tight little box there where it can all be done in one place, where if I need to yell at somebody, I can just walk out and there they are.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
I agree.
Call me crazy, call me not modern, but that's the way I like to do it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if everything's under one roof, you have a lot more control over that. And
can you imagine trying to build a powertrain by email? Please, man.
I mean, no.
Seriously?
I mean, the people right there, you want the driver there talking about what he felt. And I mean, it doesn't make sense for him to be on a conference call on Zoom talking about that.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm with you.
That was a lot more than just Red Bull and Ford, but that's what it is right now.
And I'll tell you what, though, what, in your opinion here, what is up with Red Bull and their powertrain? And because they have gone through Renault, Honda,
right? Yeah,
and now gone from Honda, and three manufacturers in what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Why is that? Are they just always looking for better? Is that normal? Is that
my better question is, how are they still winning?
I
don't think any other team could do what they've done and win. You switch powertrains, you lose. That's usually what happens.
Normally, I mean, for the first year, usually you switch powertrains because it's not very good.
Right.
You leave Renault because they left because of reliability, right?
Right.
And then so they go to Honda. Well, I mean, Honda was fantastic. They won 2 championships with Honda, right?
Right, so but not right out of the gate. It was looking shaky there at the beginning of the Honda relationship.
But why end it? Unless Honda.
Because Honda's leaving F1.
Oh, so this wasn't a Red Bull thing.
No.
Red Bull would keep this going.
No. Yeah, Red Bull wanted to keep Bull wanted to keep it going.
That makes much sense.
The relationship was getting tense because even Honda said, even if we do it for one more year, we want to do it from where we do it, not in your house
on site. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I get that. If you're Honda, I mean, you're proven. Why do I need to be in your warehouse doing that?
Yeah, and here's another thing, and this is the complete opposite of the argument I just recently made, but the difference between a works team and a regular team, right? So a works team is a team that's basically named after the man. So Ferrari is a works team.
Okay.
Mercedes is a works team.
Yep.
Alpine is a works team. Red Bull is an energy drink company.
Yeah.
Aston Martin is a car company that runs Mercedes powertrains. So Haas runs Ferrari. So not works teams. And I think Red Bull sometimes thinks they are.
or at least they
And
want to be one.
yeah,
You know,
I mean, granted, they have a lot more street cred now. They're like, hey, we've won 2 world titles, so when we tell you this is the way we want to do it, this is how it's going to be done.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that's how those conversations are going, but I'm betting I'm not too far off. So
I agree. All right. F1 president says there's room for two more teams, so 4 more cars.
He's thinking 12 teams. We've
Yeah.
obviously we've got Andretti working his butt off to get in. Of course, 2 of the people trying to keep him out are Toto and Horner.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Here's what I think is something that was said, and it was on one of the shows, and you've said it too. The cars are getting bigger.
Yeah.
And the tracks are not getting bigger. Monaco's not getting bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how are we going to show 4 more bigger cars on a track that's not big enough to accommodate what we have?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I know the other night I was hanging out with the F1 farmer, and we were talking about that very same topic, how the cars are evolving, but the tracks are not. But we still don't want to lose those tracks. But I mean, you look at Monaco; they really don't have anywhere to go width-wise on the
You already
track.
can't pass there.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to end
Monaco's
up
a qualifying event.
Yes. So, you're right. I mean, they got a Spa did some changes. They've widened the Eau Rouge. There's a lot of things going on, but a lot of these tracks are going to have to evolve. The other piece of that puzzle is that yes, they feel there's a room for 2 more teams, but they want at least one of those, and this is why I said it earlier, but they want one of those to at least be a works team. So you're looking at another manufacturer coming in and then maybe another independent one.
I wonder what manufacturer would want to come in. I mean, is Cadillac or GM count as that?
Because Andretti won't be a works team.
Why, if they're not?
He'll want his
right?
name. Yeah, he'd want his name on it. He'd want it to be Andretti F1.
I mean, could it be Andretti Cadillac F1 or Cadillac Andretti F1, or does that not count?
No, it wouldn't count. It would have to be called Cadillac F1. Cadillac something. It's like Mercedes is AMG Petronas F1.
But it's not, Toto Wolff F1 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It is owned and operated by AMG Petronas Mercedes.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So, I think, and they're not saying it has to be, but they're saying they would like one of those 2 teams to be another works team. So, the question being, what works team do you think would be up to the task?
I mean, why is Lamborghini never brought up in this?
I don't know. I don't think they're interested in it.
I mean, clearly not, or they would be in it.
Yeah. I just, they have that, and it's kind of weird. They're like old school Ferrari, I think, in a lot of ways, where they're like, yeah, it's just not something we want to do.
They just don't care. And that's fine. I mean, whatever. But I think that would be cool. They would get an instant fan out of my son and I can tell you that.
And here's the thing. They're involved in a lot. I don't think they want to change the body style for F1. I know that sounds really stupid, but you look at the stuff they are involved in. They're basically running their production cars. They're homologated cars. So, GT World Challenge, British, all this IMSA, all WeatherTech, all of it is their car. So, and I think they like that idea. It keeps it simple, keeps their costs down. They're already running those cars, so they can just modify them for whatever series they're in. So anyway, I think that's where we are.
Gotcha.
I mean, we could have Bugatti F1, but that's Volkswagen.
Bugatti F1, yeah.
Still Volkswagen. I don't know why Volkswagen just doesn't say, hey, we're going to call the works team Volkswagen. And even it will be Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, Bugatti F1. So anyway.
Okay.
Car reveal silly season. So we talked about this a little, or were you talking about this before we started recording? We did, didn't we?
We did. So I've got the picture here so we can show everybody. Haas is the first car out. So if you guys want to check it out, here's the Haas car. Hold on, I'm going to take our little banner off so you can see a little better. Yeah. There's the Haas car.
Chad, I love this car, man.
It's so much different than last year.
It's sleek. It looks like a killer. I mean, it's just, and I know I griped about the MoneyGram thing, and I'm not going to get into it tonight, but they did it right. It looks good.
It does. That car has a sleek look to it.
Yep.
You said it right. It looks mean.
Yeah.
To me, it looks mean. I really dig this car a lot.
And the cool thing about the MoneyGram piece is MoneyGram was able to max out the budget cap. So they should be pretty competitive this year.
Well, that would be nice.
Because their previous sponsor never were able to max out the budget cap. So they were working on low funds.
So you just said that maxing out the budget cap. I wonder, does Gulf max out the budget cap for Williams if that happens?
Oh, I'm sure they will.
I mean, that makes them instantly more competitive, right?
Yeah, it does. And without Latifi, it makes them infinitely more competitive.
That's addition by subtraction.
So
Okay.
anyway, we got Red Bull's reveal coming up, I guess, on the 3rd.
Yeah, we should have tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, everybody trying to beat out the door with the car reveals before Bahrain testing.
I'm excited. Hopefully we can have all those on here. I can add them on there and we can just talk about each one.
Oh yeah. And I think we should do our own car reveal. We talked about doing that last year and we just didn't have the opportunity to do it.
Well, now we kind of have the platform to be able to do that.
We do. Thanks to StreamYard.
And we can also, speaking of, you have designed us a pretty cool car. So maybe we ought to do a fuel pod car reveal on here before our streaming season in F1 2022.
Okay. So I do like it. We could do that.
I just gave Jay some home. Did you see that? Jay's like, oh God. Just gave me some homework.
Yeah. Okay. So no, it's not last. Man, I did have a lot of F1 news. So the FIA, and I don't know if a lot of people are into this, but so the FIA created a new policy on political speech. Drivers are no longer to make political statements.
This is so dumb.
Before, after, during the race weekend, whatever. I'm sure they can do whatever they want on social media when it's their own. But the weird thing about,
I mean, this is like the Lewis Hamilton rule, right?
Okay, I was getting ready. Okay, so that's why I put on here. It's turning into the meme version of the double entendre.
Yeah,
where it really they're saying, "Hey, we're no longer allowed to make political statements, but what we mean is, Lewis, you're not allowed to say anything.
Quit saying stuff, Lewis."
And the weird thing is when you watch videos about this news story, they'll show the FIA president saying something, without the audio because they're talking over it, and then the next slide will be Lewis Hamilton, and then they'll go back to the FIA guy walking around with some chief principals. Then the picture will go back to Lewis Hamilton. They're not showing any other drivers.
They don't have Mick Schumacher out there making big political statements.
So, it's no surprise that Lewis goes up in arms about, and dude, here's the thing. I don't blame him. I would too. I mean, it's obviously a target.
100%.
But on the flip side, he's really the only one that makes political statements. Vettel can get kind of course, we don't have to worry about him now, but he can get kind of crazy about that stuff. I am too, man.
So much.
But he was very passionate about certain topics, and he would say some stuff too. So I feel like if he had stuck around this year, then they would be showing him and Hamilton. So I can see why Hamilton feels like they're keying in on him. I understand that piece. So
yeah,
anyway,
I do too.
Kind of a big deal. But Formula One last week ran a survey. Most looked forward to driver pairings.
Okay.
Okay. What's up, Lee?
Thought you might want to see that.
Yeah.
Hi, Lee.
Anyway, the driver pairing survey came out, and they listed the top 5, but I'll blow it out a little bit further to 7.
Okay.
The number one, and Chad, it's funny because you and I both.
This is our number one.
Keyed in on this one ourselves. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, and they put up a Zach Brown blurb where he was like, "Oh yeah, this should be an electrifying season." Piastri is a superbly emerging talent, and Norris is about to start his 5th year, and we're still looking for great things from him. And I'm just sitting there going, "Man, these two, it's going to be like Marcia and Jan Brady in the paddock, man."
Dude, I'm so ready to watch this on Drive to Survive because this is not going to go well.
That's 2 seasons from now. That's not even this season coming up on DTS.
Not going to go well. It's not going to go well.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. And here's the thing: a year from now, if we were absolutely wrong, I want to be wrong. I do.
Oh yeah, me too.
Am I? Probably not.
Probably not. I think these two are going to clash.
So
I think it's
second
gonna be
place on
great.
the
Are you
survey
kidding me?
is Hamilton and the no shirt Russell at 20% of the vote.
Whoa, I dropped my microphone.
So
I don't understand why this one's a big deal. Who cares about this one?
I don't either, but here's the thing, and it's a solid point. But last year we had the Master and Apprentice piece, which was funny because I never felt like it was that way. Russell kind of just took off with it. But this year, Russell's got to be, he's young and he's arrogant, and I'm sure he's coming to think, hey, man, I don't see what else you can teach me, Lewis, really. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that kind of attitude.
Yeah, I mean,
time to put you out to pasture, pal.
I do think that I don't know if George will ever say that. He'll always be.
But he's thinking it. He doesn't need to say it.
He's got to be thinking
His face screams it. He can't even hide it.
Yeah, he's thinking it. This is my team. Let me be the man. I don't need you. You need to retire. Get me somebody in here. Get me a solid B driver, and
solid
let me go win.
Solid B driver that doesn't care about winning.
Yeah, he needs.
I'm going to need to have all those wins, or I'm going to be crying in the background.
Yeah.
So
number 3, I don't understand this one either.
I don't either. Number 4 is going to be great, but number 3, Leclerc Sainz 12%. It's already an in-house partnership, man, and they get along. They're not like crazy laughing, buddies, but I don't think those guys aren't like that anyway. So, I just don't.
I don't see that. There's no drama there. We've seen that one before.
Yeah. Number 4, Verstappen and Checo got 11%, and then just to start some crap, I put Danny Rick-ish in parentheses. This could be interesting.
This could be interesting because Checo and Danny Rick. It's not going to. Verstappen's going to have nothing to do with this, but the Checo Danny Rick issue is going to. I think it's going to be there.
So I'm going to throw a hypothetical, which might lead to 5 more hypotheticals. So we're 3 races in. Max is doing fine, doing his thing. Checo not so much. Max waits till he's out of a race or in the paddock and Helmet's standing there and Checo's doing his own thing. And he walks up to Helmet and says, hey, man, so what do you think about Danny?
Yeah.
You think he can play ball? You think he can play team ball?
I bet
that's hypothetical number 1.
Here's my thought on the on the Checo Danny Rick. I think Checo could have a normal year, be plain Jane. And I think Danny Rick might get more media attention than Checo will. Which it's got to just frustrate the hell out of Checo, right?
Well, how many post-race shows do you think Danny's going to host with Will this year?
Every one of them.
Nick DeVries did 75% of them last year.
I mean, surely why would you not put a camera on Danny Ricciardo?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll be the reporter from 10 feet away most of the season. You remember that?
This may be the number 2, the reporter from 10 feet away.
Yeah, the reporter from 10. Like Chevy Chase was doing the weekend update, and he would be like, "To go out on the street, we're going to go to our reporter from 10 feet away," and he would just kind of look off to the side and go, "Bob," and he was literally 10 feet away. He's like, "I'm out here on the street, doing my interviews." But that was pretty funny. I think Danny will be that guy.
So if I were ranking, I would say number 1 should be number 1. Checo, Danny Rick. I don't even care about Max. Checo, Danny Rick should be number 2.
Yeah.
And your next one should be number 3. And I'm sorry, I think you have more hypotheticals there. Give me some more hypotheticals on Danny Rick.
Well, I wanted to see if you had one that rebounded off of mine, and you didn't. But I don't know. And the other hypothetical being Danny going to Helmet and going, "Hey, man, Checo's not your guy. I'm your guy.
I'm your guy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the nose. I got, I'm good looking. I
got the social media following.
I do shoeies. Checo doesn't do shoeies.
That's no joke, man.
So, that's definitely hypothetical number 2. And number 3 is Checo just getting paranoid about footsteps behind him that might not or might not be there, and just being like, "Hey, so when are you replacing me?" and getting that kind of attitude.
So, I mean, does what happened to Danny Rick last year happen to Sergio this year? I mean, it's possible, right? Everybody was talking about it.
That thought's going to fester, dude.
I mean, because it could happen very easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
To where he gets the everybody's going to, I mean, because here's the deal. Everybody's going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be talking about it.
Yeah, it'll be the talk of the paddock for probably weeks. I mean,
he's going to have to win to shut it up.
Yeah.
And that's something that Danny never did last year. Sergio's going to have to win.
Yeah.
Because every time he finishes 4th, 5th, it's going to be talked about.
Yep.
Every single time. And number 5, Gasly and Ocon, the French connection.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this pairing.
It could go either way, though, man.
I'm not a big Esteban Ocon fan, but I love Pierre Gasly.
Yeah. And I'm in the same boat as you on this. We actually agree on that.
Ooh, I forgot about the next one. I forgot about.
I know. We still need to talk about Gasly and Ocon. So Gasly's won a few races, and he's been underperforming in some races. Ocon's won a couple of races and been underperforming in some. They're kind of in the same boat. They've both been fired from teams before.
I didn't realize Ocon had won, by the way.
Yeah, he won Hungary.
Wow.
But I've never won an F1 race, so I really don't want to take this away from an F1 driver. But I think 8 people wrecked out of that race.
I mean, literally, was it the top 8 people?
Yes.
I mean, it almost had to have been.
Yeah. So, but he does have a win. So, win's a win.
Win's a win.
We both know he's ultra aggressive and really doesn't care what he has to do to get past somebody. Whereas Gasly's a line driver, man. He drives his line, but if you get in his line, he gets pretty upset. So, and they're going to be running together. That car is fast. So they're going to be running upper midfield, maybe faster.
They may be the top midfield team.
Yeah, they are the top midfield team.
I mean,
right
knocking
now
on the door of McLaren.
Yeah. So,
which would be cool to see them overtake McLaren. I would love for AlphaTauri to overtake McLaren.
Didn't they come in 4th this year?
Did they?
Yeah, I think they beat McLaren, man.
Because
Don't quote me on that.
I get caught in the hype of McLaren thinking they were going to take that next step. I can consider them in that top 3-4 spot.
Yeah,
and really that might not be true. Maybe they're 4 or 5 spot more than top 3-4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alpine beat them this year. And yeah, that's a fast car. So those two are going to be, as long as they don't screw up, they're going to be running together a lot. So there could be some potential fireworks there. It's 2 different types of drivers. But the next one,
I forgot all about these two.
If your entry point into Formula One was Drive to Survive, then the last 2 people you'd want to see as teammates are Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg. And they're teammates now.
And they do not like each other.
You're late to the party. They're teammates. And they're doing a lot of press junkets on, hey, yeah, we get along great. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be good.
And I'm sure they will. And I'm sure they're going to get along just fine.
Until the lights go out.
Drops.
Yeah. When the lights go out and those cars get sideways, it's going to be ugly, man. It's
one time because they like
all those rated R blurps from the television show that we all know and love. So
yeah, it's going to be a good time watching those two.
And then Alonso Stroll, that's going to be, the Master Yoda, Luke Skywalker deal, I think, as long as Stroll is able to listen. I don't think Vettel's a very good teacher, probably. And he probably
is Alonso a very good teacher, though?
I feel like he is. I mean, he worked a lot with Ocon. Of course, you could say, well, those two are geographically, they're from the same type of areas, and they just got along. Maybe they had a lot of the same likes and dislikes and hobbies, but and Alonso and Stroll don't. But sometimes polar opposites do well. So hopefully Lawrence has set Lance down and said, "Hey, man, you got to listen to this guy. We got a double world champ coming in here to help you out. We had a 4-time world champ in here, and it didn't work. So, this is it. This is literally where the rubber meets the road. So, I'm hoping he does.
I hope so too.
Either way,
I've never been a big fan of Lance Stroll, but I like Alonso.
Yeah. And, Lance has got a lot of talent. He's just got to find it, 1, and 2, he's got to apply himself. But I think this is Alonso's, I think it's going to be his farewell tour this year. I really do. That's just I'm calling it right now.
You think this is his? So why would he switch teams just for 1 year?
Why not, man? Just keep the dream alive. Who knows? Plus, he's, it's not his first gig with Renault. He won world titles with Renault.
Yeah, I got you.
So anyway, next up, we had the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona. This isn't the Daytona if you are a Sunday afternoon NASCAR guy. This isn't the oval. This is the infield course. And whether you've ever seen a race on the infield course or you're a sim racer and you race plenty, because it feels like every sim racing title throws the Daytona infield course on there.
It's a cool course, though.
It is. It's got some really, really difficult spots, which I like. It's one of those difficult to master, lines that you got to run there. But again, like the 24 Hour at Le Mans, this is a multi-class race hosted by IMSA that do the WeatherTech IMSA series. So it was ran this past weekend from Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. It's a 61 car field, man, stretched out over 3.5 mile lap. Yeah. So 12 turns, 3.56 miles, average lap speed, all classes, 130 miles an hour. The record lap for that is by Alex Palou of IndyCar with a 133.7. That's a fast lap.
Fast lap.
I ran it on GT, and I've watched a couple of the guys run it, the esports guys that are way better than me. I've seen, maybe a couple 130, 132s, but they were racing like hypercar stuff. So it's really not a good comparison. But we had some notable entries in the race, people that you and I both have talked about over the past year. Okay. Colton Herta ran for BMW. He was, an F1 guy, or going to be an F1 guy, but couldn't get his license. Helio Castroneves is an IndyCar driver, and we'll get to more of him in the podiums when we talk about him. But he was running for Acura again. David Rigon and Sarah from GT World Challenge, along with a bunch of other drivers from GT World Challenge, and Romain Grosjean in a Lambo.
Oh, I didn't know Romain Grosjean was in there.
Yeah, he ran it in a Lambo, and Kevin Magnussen's dad ran it in a Porsche.
So I didn't get a chance to look today, and I wanted to. I swear I saw a NASCAR driver in it. Ryan Blaney, Dave Blaney's son. I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't see him on there.
Okay, he may not have been. They just said, shout out to all the drivers at 24 Hours of Daytona, especially this guy. And I swear it was him, but I was at the Barrett Jackson car show. I was talking to my son about it, and I looked and then looked off, and I was like, oh, I got to remember to look at that, and totally forgot about it until actually right this second. But anyway, so I didn't get a chance to look at it today.
Well, anyway, I'm going to blow through these results because we don't have much time left. But
you're fine.
Helio Castroneves won for the third year in a row.
So cool,
in the Acura. That team won. That's the team win. He actually wasn't the one that drove the car across the finish line. It was Blomqvist, who had also taken the pole position for him. But, Castroneves was part of that team, so he gets the win too. LMP2, big deal because James Allen beat Hanley by 0.016 seconds.
So impressive, man.
Which in endurance racing never happens. Anybody that watches or participates in endurance racing will tell you it really comes down to pit strategy and your ability to keep the car moving. And a lot of the times the gap between first and second is huge. So 0.016. It was a horse race finish. It was one of them photo,
if it's okay.
The horse's head. Go ahead.
Just for a second. I'm sorry. 24 hours of driving.
Yeah.
And they switch drivers every 3 hours, right?
Yeah. Well, give or take. Yeah.
Give or take, in that area. So you think about those guys are driving. They have to do a normal pit stop. They have to switch drivers. And all of that happens. All of these crazy things that every one of these drivers have to do. And it comes down to 0.016 of a second. Yeah. That is insane. I mean,
and I can't verify this, but I'm sure at some point in that race, there were probably minutes and minutes between those two. And just the way that the pit stops shook out, or how much speed they were able to get in a certain, or how much pace they were able to catch, or whatever. So it's an amazing finish. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
All right, man.
Pretty cool.
That's it. If you want to go to the podiums and backmarkers.
Oh, hold on. I got all kinds of stuff I got to put on here for the podiums and backmarkers. Give me a second.
Okay.
Let's see. Where's our sounds at? Oh, is that our sound? Can you hear it?
I cannot.
You can't hear our
There it is.
sound? All right, good.
I can't.
Okay.
Now.
So before we get there, we do have some exciting news. Podiums
Go
and
for it.
Backmarkers will be forever and ever now brought to you by our very first sponsor, PrimeShrimp.com, Jay. How cool is that? We have a sponsor,
That's very cool.
PrimeShrimp.com. So here's the thing. They sent us a care package. It's not here yet, so we can't tell you how much we love it. But I will tell you a little bit about the company, and I'm going to tell you everything they offer. So they are a family-owned company since 1943, and they're based just right down the road in Louisiana, which is not far from here, really. It comes in packets, so it's easy to cook. You don't have to thaw it, throw it in boiling water. It's done in 10 minutes, which is wonderful for a guy like me that has kids that are hungry, and they want it now.
Yeah.
So it comes in 6 flavors: French Quarter Alfredo, garlic herb and butter, lemon and cracked pepper, Louisiana
right there.
Cajun boil. That one sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And New Orleans style barbecue. And I'm going to be honest, that's the first one I'm trying because I don't know what New Orleans style barbecue is. And I'm pretty jazzed up to try that. Jazzed was not pun intended. I guess, I mean, that was unintended. And then the signature Cajun. So, Jay, you are our chef, our resident Fuel Pod chef. Just looking off these 6 flavors here. Give me some, what is your first one that jumps off the page? What are you going to do with one of them?
So one of the things I was thinking about was the, and I love it already, and I don't know if you've had it, but the Southern Comfort barbecue shrimp.
Okay. No, I have not had that.
So I'd probably get one of the garlic and herb butter one anyway. So you're basically doing shrimp in a bowl of Southern Comfort barbecue sauce.
Okay.
And then you're putting a cheese. I would probably use a white cheddar if it were me, but a white cheddar over the top until the cheddar forms its own little skin on that bowl. Then you have to stick your fork through the cheese, grab a shrimp, and pull it up through the barbecue sauce and let the cheese catch it.
It sounds amazing, dude.
Yeah, that's just one dish I can think of right off the top of my head. But unlike Forrest Gump, I don't know everything there is to know about the shrimp business.
I really know pretty quick. Hopefully it'll be here this week. We're going to be eating shrimp hopefully this weekend. I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait to give you guys a full report next week. So here's the cool part. I think they're $10.99 for a serving. And Fuel Pod listeners, they started this. If you go to primeshrimp.com and enter the code FuelPod, all one word, you get 25% off your first order. So how cool is that?
Which you can see going across the bottom of the screen right there.
Right there. I put it on there so you can see it. Anyway, so it's mad shout out. Thank you so much, Prime Shrimp, for having faith in us and jumping on board with the Fuel Pod. So we're really excited. Fuel Pod listeners, go out, try Prime Shrimp. Let us know what you like. We'll put it on here. You tell us what you like. We'll put it on here in the comments and help them sell more shrimp. And with that, let's get to our podiums and backmarkers. You want to go first?
Right, man. So, sure, I'll go first. I don't care.
You go first.
My podium this week, To the Line Racing at Daytona. We just talked about it. So really quick, they were so fast and so close. That was amazing. I'll probably never see it again. Second, Seb Ogier pulling a record 9th win at Monte Carlo. Good job to Seb, man. You've had a wonderful career, dude. I've enjoyed watching it and look forward to many more races. And number 3, Ford Rally. They were kind of this weekend, but they brought in Hoyt Tannick, who's a championship contender. They've built a car that can compete. It's definitely the prettiest car on the grid. I have to give them that. I don't know if you've seen it. I
have not.
They've got like the chrome purple with the Red Bull logos. Then they've got the like metallic blue with the red, and it's just a beautiful car. I wish I had a shot to throw up there like you did with the Oscar, but they've built a great car, and it looks like it's finally going to compete with the Hyundais and Toyotas pretty close this year.
Rock on. So my podium, Toyota Gazoo Racing. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Finished 1-2, 4 drivers in the top 6. Their team principal, Latvala, calls it the dream start to a season. So I thought that was pretty cool for Toyota Gazoo. Hilo Castroneves wins his 3rd straight Rolex 24-hour. And so I used a completely different form of racing this week, and it's a different class. I'm sorry. Racing at the 24-hour Daytona. You used one earlier that was 0.016. That is, and I didn't even see that. That is insane. I was impressed. The gap to second place in this class was 4.1 seconds. And that's, over 24 hours, it comes down to 4 seconds. Yeah. That's crazy.
61 cars, multi-class cars, all different kinds of traffic on the road. Even 4.1 seconds is not something you're going to see probably ever again. Yeah.
And you saw both of those in one race.
Yeah.
That's so impressive. So impressive. Okay, let's move to Backmarkers. They don't get the music. Go with your
All right,
Backmarkers.
I'm going to blow through the Backmarkers as well.
Yeah.
Esapekalapi kind of this weekend
Great
in his
name.
opening
Terrible
rally.
racing.
So, yeah, he needs to step it up if he wants to keep that seat. Kyle Busch didn't retire as my number 2, which will probably be my just reigning number 2 this year.
Yeah.
Hoyt Tanek had a disappointing rally, but he is in a new car, and he is showing improvement. So, I look forward to seeing him back where he's supposed to be.
I'm really excited that the number 8 is finally going to have a good driver. The number 8 in NASCAR has not had a good driver in years and years and years and years. I mean, they hadn't even had a popular driver in that seat in so long. So I'm excited that the number 8 finally has a good driver. My Backmarkers. Yes, it was on purpose, Jay. Number 1 Backmarkers. We're still a month away. We're right at a month away, 4 weekends, and we'll be watching Bahrain on F1 TV. My number 2, winter weather in Oklahoma. I've been at home all week. Tired of being at home. And then number 3, this is Gran Turismo K-Cup menu book. And anybody out there that has Gran Turismo number 7, there's an extra menu book called the K-Cup. I have raced this thing no less than 50 times. That's probably not true. Probably like 30 times. And I'm terrible at it. And I am just, I'm retiring. So this is my retirement announcement. I told Jay I was retiring today. I will be retiring from Gran Turismo K-Cup menu book. I wish you all the
thank
best.
God we'll actually have a really good number 25 driver moving forward.
We got a couple of minutes to be able to make our cutoff for ESPN Paris 105.1 before Will kicks us off the air. But before we do all our store plugs and everything, I just want to say if you are listening on ESPN Paris 105.1, and I apologize because I don't have the phone number, and Jay doesn't know what I'm talking about right now. I want you to
Are we going to go past the minute?
No, because we started
bonus?
5 minutes late. We started 5 minutes late. So
Okay.
ESPN Paris 105.1 listeners, 1, use the Prime Shrimp thing. It's awesome. Number 2, call the station. Find the number, call the station, and tell them how much you love listening to the Fuel Pod on Saturday mornings. That's what we need. I want Will to get so jazzed up about our show that he maybe gives us a second hour a week. I don't know. Maybe moves us the time slot. I don't even know what's a good time slot. But call, tell Will how amazing you love, how much you love the Fuel Pod and how amazing the show is. Sorry, that's my only ask. Store plugs, Jay. That's where we are now.
Well, we've been having the store plug here go across the fuelpod.etsy.com. As you see there in the bottom left corner of your that's our Etsy store for all the merch for the Fuel Pod, and we've got tons up there. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, we've got slides, we've got sweats, we've got polos, there's a lot of stuff on there.
Listen,
so give it a go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm just saying give it a go.
I'm going to create an overlay. So kind of like the Haas car, where it's going to show our top 10 items. Sorry, I'm Jay handing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't even done that this
You have it. I've done it like 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a slide up here so everybody can see it. So they can see our merch. They can look at it while we're sitting here doing this. They can, if they go back and watch this later, shout out to everybody that watches this later. And they can see all that. So that'll be cool. Motorsports news. We've got about 2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes. Motorsports news. IndyCar has a game coming out, but it's made by the same people that made NASCAR 21 Ignition, so I'm out.
Which is one of the worst games on the planet.
Yeah. There is a racing board game that I told F1 Farmer about called Heat Pedal to the Metal. If you like tabletop board games and you want a racing one, go look up a YouTube video on the review for this game. Or head over to IGN. Those guys had an excellent review on it too. At first I thought it sounded crazy, but I read it and then I was like, wow, got to look at this. So anyway, that's all I had.
The NASCAR minute's going to be more like a NASCAR 30 seconds. The Busch Class at the Coliseum is this weekend, Sunday, February 5th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Kind of a crazy niche race because it is tiny and they're constantly spinning out. I'm not a huge fan, but whatever. Kyle Busch going to RCR. They haven't had anybody finish higher than 11th since 2015. So just a nice little talking point for the year to kind of see how that goes. And then just real quickly, I didn't know this, but Denny Hamlin was talking about they are going to have 0 practice at the Daytona 500 before qualifying. 0. Biggest race of the year. They hired Travis Pastrana this year. They were talking about he hasn't driven a cup car in 10 years. They're going to have to find a parking lot for him to go through his shifting to get ready for qualifying.
Do you even shift gears at Daytona?
Well, you got to shift up from the start.
I mean, yeah, but after that, do you even
Not really.
Yeah.
But anyway, just kind of crazy that the biggest race of the year, no practice before qualifying. And then a little rule change, no more Hail Melon. If you remember what the Hail Melon is, that is Ross Chastain's Hail Mary to get into the playoffs last year. That is now deemed they didn't rewrite the rule book, but they're going to deem that a safety concern. So if you do that, you'll be penalized with either a lap or a time penalty or whatever. So no more Hail Melon. Kind of sad about that. But you brought up something interesting about the Hail Melon last week.
Yeah, they're leaving his racing stripe on the wall until the race at Martinsville.
How crazy is that?
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
I think that's awesome.
Social shilling real quick. Jay, I'll let you go first. You're good at this.
GMJ729 at Twitch. On Twitter, I'm JNeil729. Chad is ChadH610 at pretty much everything.
Everywhere. Twitter.
All at one place.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find me everywhere at ChadH610. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Fuel Pod. Thank you for watching us. We have a blast. So we love bringing it to you, and we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Thank you very much. Get some shrimp.